Psalm 62, verse 5 to 8. Let all that I am wait quietly before God, for my hope is in Him. He alone is my rock and my salvation, my fortress where I will not be shaken. My victory and honor come from God alone. He is my refuge, a rock where no enemy can reach me. O my people, trust in Him at all times. Pour out your heart to Him, for God is our refuge. Psalm 62, verse 5 to 8. Let all that I am wait quietly before God, for my hope is in Him. He alone is my rock and my salvation, my fortress where I will not be shaken. My victory and honor come from God alone. He is my refuge, a rock where no enemy can reach me. O my people, trust in Him at all times. Pour out your heart to Him, for God is our refuge.
Hey guys, welcome to Sunday School this morning. I hope you're ready for an awesome morning. What the heck? It's raining! I'm supposed to be recording Sunday School. Guys, we better get inside before it ruins our Sunday School and ruins our equipment. Come on, let's go! Oh, whoa! I can't believe that it started raining while I was trying to record Sunday School. I mean, what are the chances of that? Whoa. But you know what? I sure am glad that I had my house to run to for safety to get out of that rain. And that I could bring my equipment inside as well, my camera and stuff, because if it got all wet, it would have got damaged. So I'm really glad for a house to keep me safe during these Joburg storms. Look at that. I've got myself a towel. Let me just dry off before we get into today's Sunday School lesson. Oh, need to get dry. I can't teach a Sunday School lesson while we're wet. Oh, okay. I think that'll be alright. Let's fix the hair here just a little bit. Okay. Gotta look good for the kids, you know. Alright, how do I look? Is that okay? I hope that's okay. Let's get into today's Sunday School lesson. Hey guys, I'm ready for the lesson this morning. I'm a little bit more dry now. Got my trusty Nick cap on. For those of you who don't know, my name is Nick, N-Y-C. Spells Nick, you can call me Nick. You know, while I was drying off, I got to thinking, this whole debacle with the rain coming down while I'm trying to record, that reminds me of the lesson that I wanted to teach you guys this morning. I mean, I was going to teach you about how God keeps us safe. And then the rain comes down and I have to run into my house for safety and bring my camera inside for safety. I mean, how cool is that? They connect. God keeps us safe. I mean, maybe God was trying to help me teach this lesson today. What do you think? Do you think so? Maybe. So the passage that we are reading from today is the passage you saw me act out a little earlier on in the video, Psalm 62, verses 5 to 8. I'm going to read it again just to remind us what it's about. Here we go. Psalm 62, verses 5 to 8. It says this, "Let all that I am wait quietly before God, for my hope is in him. He alone is my rock and my salvation, my fortress, where I will not be shaken. My victory and honor come from God alone. He is my refuge, a rock where no enemy can reach me. O my people, trust in him. At all times, pour out your heart to him, for God is our refuge. That's a really cool psalm. Now, for the person who's writing this psalm, I don't know if you noticed, but he speaks about God in a lot of ways that describe how God keeps him safe. And he uses 4 specific words to describe God. Did you notice any of those words? Do you think you could maybe give me 1 or 2? Do you remember? Words that the psalmist used to describe how God keeps him safe. Maybe? Yes? No? Well, how about I give you some help here? Let's put the first word from the psalm that the psalmist used up over here. It's rock. The writer speaks about how God is a rock. How about the next one? The word refuge. Let's put it over here. The word refuge. He uses the word refuge to describe how God keeps him safe. 2 other words. Do you guys remember what they are? How about fortress? Let's put fortress right over here. And the last word, you know what it is? It's the word salvation. We'll put salvation right over here. So we've got rock, we've got refuge, we've got fortress, and we've got salvation. These are the words that the psalmist used to describe how God keeps him safe. Okay, but of those 4 words, did you notice that 2 of them were used twice? The word rock and the word refuge. Both were used in these verses twice to say the same thing, that God keeps this writer of the psalm safe. And you know, if somebody is going to say something basically 4 times, that must mean it's pretty important, right? So let's look a little bit more at these 2 words. Let's start with the word rock. Now, have a look over here. I've got with me a really big rock. Oh, look at this guy. Okay, this is a big rock. I mean, can you see? Oh, he is really heavy. Okay, this is a pretty big rock. I think you'd agree. My muscles would agree. It's a big rock. But now, let's say I took this rock, right? And I put it outside in the middle of a storm. And the wind came and it blew and it blew. And the storm just raged. And the wind blew against this rock. It just blew against this rock. I think that after the storm, if I went outside again, I think I'd see this pretty heavy rock still sitting there where I left it. What do you think? Do you agree? I think so. I don't think the wind's going to blow this rock away. Nah. Let's put him back. Okay. So that's the first word, rock. Now, the other word, refuge, is maybe a little bit more difficult. I mean, what does refuge even mean? So think about when the rain came down as I was recording and I ran inside to keep myself safe and to keep my camera equipment safe. I ran inside to find refuge, to find protection from the rain, to find safety from the rain. You see, refuge means protection and safety, shelter from danger. And you know, when we look at this psalm and we see how the writer of the psalm describes God and uses the words rock and refuge twice each, I think this psalm is trying to teach us a very simple lesson. And here's what I think it is. I think that the psalm is trying to teach us that God is our safe place. He is the one who keeps us safe. He is our rock and our refuge. It's like, you know, we have these storms, these very big storms in Joburg sometimes, hey? Lots of rain, lots of wind, lots of hail, and they can be pretty scary. I remember the one time I was a little boy living with my parents at home, and we had one of those big storms. and there was lots of wind, lots of rain, lots of hail. And it was pretty scary, but thankfully we were safe in our home. And this storm came and blew one of the trees that was in my neighbor's yard on his side of the wall. It was an old tree, blew the tree right over onto our yard. You know what happened? The tree was a big tree. It fell over and it crushed my dad's car. Flat, like a pancake. And it was really, really scary, but thankfully we were inside. And you know, like we have these big storms in Joburg, sometimes we have things and events in our lives that happen to us or happen around us that are scary. And sometimes we use the word storm or storms to describe these scary events. I'll give you an example. You know, like we have the coronavirus at the moment. It's a pretty scary thing. It's all over the country, it's all over the world. We all have to wear masks. We have to sanitize our hands all the time. We have to wash our hands for 20 seconds. Make sure you're washing for 20 seconds. Okay, and sometimes, like now, we're not allowed to see our family and our friends, and that can be pretty hard. That can be quite scary. But you know, there are other things that happen. Like maybe we move to a new school, or we move to a new city. And it's pretty scary because we don't know that place. We don't know that school, or we don't know that city, and we don't have any friends. And that can be scary because maybe we're scared we're not going to make friends. Or like other situations, we're afraid of somebody breaking into our home and stealing stuff and doing bad things. That can be quite scary too. Or maybe something else that's scary for you is that you and your family don't live in a big, strong house. Maybe you live in a small house that leaks and it doesn't feel very strong to you, and you're worried about what will happen to it if a storm comes. You know, all these different things that can happen in our lives are events that are scary and events that make us afraid. And you know, the lesson that the psalm wants to teach us today is that it doesn't matter what's happening in our lives. It doesn't matter what storm may come, no matter what scary thing may be happening to us or around us. The psalm teaches us that God is our safe place. He is the one who keeps us safe. He is our rock and our refuge. And we can run to him when we're scared. And you know, that's really amazing, don't you think? I mean, thinking about that actually, it reminds me about the season that we're in as a church. Can you remember what it was? I spoke about it last week. The season that we're in as a church is the season called Epiphany. And remember what that means? It means that God used Jesus to come into the world once upon a time to show the world how amazing he is. And here we are talking about how amazing God is because he's our safe place, our rock and our refuge. I mean, how amazing. That's pretty cool. Don't you think God is pretty cool? I think God is really, really, really cool. He's really amazing. That's for sure. Okay, I have one last thing that I need to say before we end this lesson. Okay, and it's this. You remember that rock? Let me get this guy. You remember this big rock? Of course you remember it. I spoke about how earlier that if I put it outside in the middle of the storm with the wind blowing against it, that I bet you it wouldn't go anywhere. You remember that? Of course you remember that. Okay, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. But this rock, and hearing about how God is a rock in the Bible, teaches us an important lesson. You know, just because God is our safe place, just because he's the one who protects us, that doesn't mean that bad things won't happen to us or happen around us. In fact, sometimes they are going to happen. Sometimes we're going to have to go through the difficult time. We're going to have to go through the storm. We're going to have to face the wind. But like this rock that wasn't blown away, God, who is our rock, will keep us from being blown away. I mean, that's pretty amazing, don't you think? God is our rock and our refuge. He is our safe place. But sometimes we still have to go through the wind, through the storm. But God is going to keep us from being blown away by the wind. That's really amazing. Okay, guys, that's all I have for today's lesson. I hope that you learned something. I hope that it was awesome for you. But before we finish up here completely, I have two more things that I want to do with you. The first is I want to tell you about an activity that I would like you to do at home with your parents or with your aunt and uncle or with your grand and grandpa, wherever you are, whoever's with you. I want you to grab a piece of paper. It could be a blank piece of paper, it could be a lined piece of paper, it could be a colored piece of paper, whatever you've got at home. All right, I want you to go get that piece of paper, some crayons, some Kokies, some colored pens, whatever you've got, and I want you to draw a picture of your house where you're living, okay? So draw a nice picture for me of your house on the one side of the piece of paper, okay? Maybe you got some grass and some trees, okay? And then next to your house, I want you to draw a great big rock next to your house, okay? So you've got a house and you've got a rock, and then above those things, above the house and the rock, I want you to write the words, God is my rock and my refuge. God is my rock and my refuge. And then underneath that, so underneath the house and underneath the rock, I want you to write, who keeps me safe. So you've got a house on the one side of the page, you've got a rock on the other side of the page, maybe you've got some plants, some grass and some trees, okay? And then I want you to write the words on top there, my God, or God is my rock and my refuge. And then underneath, I want you to write, who keeps me safe. Okay, and then you know what, you can stick that on your door, you can stick that on your fridge, you can stick that wherever you want, just to remind you that God is your rock and your refuge. And then do me one other favor. Take a picture, send me a picture, get mom and dad, whoever's with you, to send me a picture. I'll leave some contact details at the end of this video. Why don't you send me a picture of your work? I'd love to see your house and your rock. So send it to me. That'd be really, really cool. All right, now, one other thing. The last thing is we've got to do a little quiz. Okay, so just to see if, you got these 2 ears, just to see if you were using them while I was talking. I got 3 questions for you to answer, just like we did last week. I hope you're ready. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you sure? Are you sure you're ready? Okay, here we go. 3 questions. Number 1. I spoke about it a little bit earlier. What is the season that we as a church are in at the moment? What is the season? I'll give you a clue. It starts with the letter E. And I'll give you another clue. Remember, it's all about how God, through Jesus coming into the world, was trying to show the world how amazing He is. Okay? So can you remember what that word is? If you can remember, tell those who are around you, what is it? Can you remember? Yes? 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 Is that it? Yes, well done. It is the season of Epiphany. The season where God shows Himself to the world through Jesus and how amazing He is. Okay, so that was question number 1. Question number 2. What is the psalm that we read from today? Do you know what the psalm is? I'm going to give you 3 possible options, okay? The first one, Psalm 1. Did we read from Psalm 1 today? Maybe, maybe not. The second option, did we read from Psalm 150 today? Maybe. And the third option, did we read from Psalm 62 today? Which one is it? Option 1, option 2, option 3, A, B, or C? Which one is it? Do you remember? Psalm 1, Psalm 150, or Psalm 62? Yes, of course, that's the one. Well done, guys. I knew you were listening. Psalm 62 is the psalm that we read from today. Okay, well done, guys. You're doing very well. I'm glad you guys are listening. So that was question 1 and 2. Now, question number 3. This is the most important question. Okay. What are the two words that we used to describe God, the two words we use the most to describe what God is or who God is in our lives. I'll give you a clue. They both start with the letter R. Can you remember? They both start with the letter R. Can you remember what is God in our lives? Remember, He's our safe place and He is our... You remember? You remember? Yes! Well done, guys. God is our rock and our refuge. Guys, thank you so much for listening to my lesson today. I'm glad that you guys listened and you took in what I was saying. And guys, it's so much fun for me to be here with you every week, and I can't wait for next week, and I hope that you are excited for next week. I hope that you are learning stuff about God and stuff about the Bible, and I hope that you go home and you think about it and you remember it. So my prayer for you today is that God would be your rock and your refuge, and that you would remember that every single day this week until I see you the next time. Bye-bye, guys.
Psalm 62, verse 5 to 8. Let all that I am wait quietly before God, for my hope is in Him. He alone is my rock and my salvation, my fortress where I will not be shaken. My victory and honor come from God alone. He is my refuge, a rock where no enemy can reach me. O my people, trust in Him at all times. Pour out your heart to Him, for God is our refuge.